Welcome to another episode of AV Insights and Advice, and my name is Gary Lagosty.
And I'm Adam Evans.
Today we're talking about in-house exclusives. In the market, and we hear this on our current events, we hear it in industry events, and it's a topic that never goes away. It's in-house exclusives, how to navigate that, what are the roles and responsibilities, and a lot of times it's a pain point, and one of our goals today is to alleviate that as a pain point and give you the tools to feel comfortable talking about this when you're going to plan your events.
Yeah, and every venue has them, and they're all different types, and I think we specialize in all different types of exclusives that we've seen across the market. So I think one of the most important things is timing when it
100%.
comes to the in-house exclusives. It's not necessarily when the client is contacting the AV production company, it's when they're contracting with the venue.
Yeah, timing is super important. I mean, always, and I believe you heard this, but always try to address these topics in your hotel or venue contract. And you've heard that, we will preach that always. But unfortunately, we are dealing with this with our current customers a lot of times after that contract is signed. But we did want to, emphasize that try to have these discussions, carve out time before you sign that venue contract. But some of the tools and the roles and the things we talk about today will apply to if you got that done ahead of the venue contract or afterwards. You'll be able to use what we're talking about in both scenarios. The one thing to understand, in my opinion, there are roles between the venue, the in-house provider, and an outside partner that you need to understand in order to be productive in these negotiations. So just to kind of outline that hierarchy, and then we can chat about a little bit is, the venue is number one. The in-house AV provider is a customer of the venue. That's important to understand. So if you get into this and you're actually negotiating and you're trying to get approvals and you have to escalate any of these discussions, understanding that the in-house AV provider is a customer of the hotel will be important should it get there. A lot of times it doesn't, but it might. And then you have your outside or AV production partner who has a lot of experience. You want to lean on them for the expertise of, how much rigging do I need? How much power do I need? How much internet do I need? And you also lean on them for some language that would go into those contracts.
Yeah, and I think that goes back to the timing, is really talking to the venue first and then having these exclusive discussions before in-house is actually involved, because that's typically where you can get the most benefit out of it is the hotel wants to actually sign a contract, and sometimes they're willing to give away the in-house AV all day. So it's an interesting timing thing, and so we love to make sure that we're on the front end of that before the hotel contract is signed year over year.
Yeah, so reach out for advice. When it comes to the hotel contract, you're gonna start with certain language, right? So you'll have language in there that you can reuse in multiple contracts, with the venue. And the hotel will likely accommodate those, but why? Why is the hotel accommodating to those in a lot of cases if you get to that early? It's because there's a much bigger picture at stake for the venue. There's F&B, there's room nights, there's repeat business, there's all these different things. And the in-house is always gonna have their role and play their part, but the venue, and a lot of times if you get to it early, will work with you. Say, for example, the contract is signed and this comes up later.
Which is most of the time the case that we see all the time is it's always after the hotel because they're not, it's great. We want our planners to be thinking all the way through the event, not necessarily, oh, I just need a venue. But then how much money is saved when they sign that contract right off the bat is enormous. I've seen a lot of money saved on that first initial signature.
Yeah, 100%. So I think sometimes everyone just wants to tell and advise, hey, get that contract language and all the exclusives handled before the contract is signed. The reality is it's not always the case. So should that not be the case, you can rely on a company like Clarity as a consultant. And we have a whole approach to this. It's very friendly, it's very nice. We understand the in-house model. We have friends there. We work in all the venues across the country, and we've been very successful in this. But we start off with whoever your point of contact is. We present a fair competitive option that we know is fair, and we can back that up. And then should that need to be escalated, you would go to like the manager at the in-house provider or the sales contact at the venue, ultimately resulting in success when it comes to hotel exclusives.
Yeah, so let's talk about Wi-Fi.
Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is one of them. We're gonna dig into some detail.
How many people would die if they did not have Wi-Fi in this world nowadays?
You gotta have Wi-Fi.
Everyone.
Yeah, everyone. So the interesting thing about Wi-Fi is technology has advanced significantly over the past 5, 10, 15 years. Initially, when the hotels had to build these massive infrastructures for internet and Wi-Fi, it was very expensive. As we all know, that technology has gotten better over time, and it is technically less expensive, but a lot of times you're getting charged maybe the old prices or some higher rates.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because every hotel has to pay for their internet bill, and it's already encompassed into their monthly expenses as a hotel, and then they just try to charge as much as they can during the month to each client.
Yeah, so the good news is this, is although Wi-Fi and internet is always labeled as an exclusive, there is an alternative option for you as planners out there to consider, and it is very reliable. So as planners, and you can ask us any questions about this, we do this on several events, you have the ability to bring in your own Wi-Fi and internet solution and bypass the venue infrastructure should you need to. Now, our recommendation, our approach is to always start with using the hotel venue infrastructure and getting a competitive price for that and moving forward, and it's fantastic. But should you run into a roadblock on that, we want you to know that you have an alternative solution where you can bring in Wi-Fi. It accesses the big player cell phone towers like Verizon, AT&T and such. We're able to do an analysis in advance for that venue to understand and make sure that your speeds are going to be consistent and reliable. And it's great because you now have an alternative to the Wi-Fi should you need it. And that's the main thing we wanted you to know on that topic is you're not locked into the hotel Wi-Fi should you need an alternative. It's actually out there. You're not handcuffed.
You're not handcuffed to the hotel Wi-Fi.
And it's great.
Yeah, let's talk about rigging, because I think that rigging in a big way determines how the show looks and how the expenses go inside.
Yeah, so rigging, as we know, for most, I would say, larger events, maybe convention center venues, bigger rooms, rigging is almost always at play. What makes me excited about this topic is if you have a company like Clarity, we can design your concept with or without rigging or a smaller amount of rigging. So our approach at Clarity is, hey, your theme is important, your concept is important, what's happening in that room is very important. We do not want to take away from that. We want to nail that down. We want the excitement to be in the room. We want the emotion to be in the room. When we build these sets out, you have rigging to fly lighting and speakers and all these different things. However, we can take your same concept and give you a build that uses rigging or doesn't use rigging or uses, something in between.
Combination in between.
Yeah. So don't get stuck on, oh, my rigging bill is going to be X and it's going to be this high dollar amount before coming to a company like Clarity and saying, hey, I have this concept. I think my rigging is going to be high. What can you guys do? And a lot of times we have creative ways to build that set, and now the rigging's less.
Yeah, and depending on if you really do know your show, you can always have that rigging line item on the budget. All right, the third exclusive is what?
It's all about the power.
Power. Just because they have the power doesn't mean they have all the power.
So power is a direct relationship, obviously, to your concept. It's just knowing the competitive market pricing for power and having somebody to back you up to say, hey, a fair price on power is this, and that's always going to be a part of your event. A lot of times for power, we'll ask for like a weekly rate or something like that, but relying on a company like Clarity to make sure that your pricing is competitive on power is a great thing. As what's most important and where the most spend is, I think the Wi-Fi and rigging outweigh the power a little bit. And as long as you know that your power pricing is competitive, you're in a great spot.
Yeah, and we have a dollar amount that we've seen in the market for every amp inside of power that is ordered. So I think we have a dollar amount that we know what's fair, and so that kind of goes across all the venues that we go through.
Yep, so we're in this every day. It's one of my favorite topics. I know it's not everybody's favorite topic, but my biggest thing for you is don't be afraid of this, because you shouldn't be. And it shouldn't actually influence a decision for your event. And so the main thing is if you're planning an event and you're considering an in-house company or you're considering a partner, The exclusives should not sway your decision one way or another. You should be able to make the right decision for your event, and the exclusives is a part of it. And if you understand the roles and you have a good partner and you understand the competitive pricing and you understand you have an alternative, for example, to Wi-Fi, this should not be a pain point anymore, and you should be able to pick the right partners for your event.
Well said. Love it.
Thank you for joining us for another AV Insights and Advice.